What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the garage. Today we are replacing the belt tensioner for the air conditioning belt on the Volkswagen 2.5 liter engine. This is going to be going in the 2010 Jetta here, but this should be applicable to most of the 2.5 liter engines out there. So let's do it. Hey guys, got a new merch store available with some hats, shirts, and other accessories. So if you want to pick up some cool swag and support the channel, go ahead and click that link in the description below. In order to get access to the lower belt, we need to get the front passenger side wheel up off the ground and off. That way we can take the lower portion of the inner fender liner off. That'll give us real nice access to where the belt and the tensioner is. So the first thing we're going to do is get it safely up on one jack stand. I'm going to jack it up with the jack and then put the jack stand right under the rear control arm bushing. That'll keep it safely up off the ground, and then we can pull the wheel off and get that inner fender liner off. Alright, got the vehicle supported by the jack here. I do have the jack stand under the rear lower control arm bushing just for safety precaution. You want to have safety measure in place anytime you're doing any work with the vehicle off the ground. Next thing you're going to want to do is we got to pull the wheel off so we can get access to the inner fender liner. So use your 17mm wheel nut, pull the wheel off, get that away from the vehicle, and then we'll get the lower portion of the inner fender liner off. So this portion here, this lower portion of the fender liner, is what we need to take out. You're going to have a few bolts going around it with a few on the bottom side here. You're going to have to take those out. That is a T25 Torx. So just get your Torx bit out, take all those bolts out, and then you'll be able to rock this whole panel off in one, and that'll give you access right here straight through to the belt and the tensioner and everything. That lower liner out of the way, you can see you have access here to the belt that we're working on. This is the tensioner we're going to be replacing. So this belt here has to come off. It's actually the belt that runs the crankshaft to the air conditioning, the AC compressor. So we got to take this belt off. This is a 15mm bolt here. So just get your 15mm wrench out, put that on it. What you're going to want to do is put the wrench on it, and then you're going to pull towards the rear of the vehicle. That'll release tension with the tensioner on the belt, and then you can take the belt off and then release the tensioner. So the bolt we need to get to that's holding the tensioner on is this bolt right here on the top side of the tensioner. I don't know how well you can see that with the lighting, but it's the bolt right there. It's an M10 triple square. So you need an M10 triple square bit. If you do have one like mine, that's pretty narrow, and then you just put a socket on the end of it, you might be able to get it on there with the pulley still on, like so, and then just get your socket on it and take it off. Otherwise, you can get your 15mm wrench on here, take this bolt off. That'll take the whole pulley off of the tensioner, and then you'll have better access to get in there and get it off. For the sake of the video, I'm going to pull this tensioner, or the pulley, off the tensioner, and then we will get the M10 back on there and pull that tensioner off with that one bolt holding it on. That pulley out of the way, you got really good access to this bolt here now. So just use your M10, get it on there, get that bolt out, and the whole tensioner will pull away from the block, and then we can replace it with the new one. So this is the new unit. Most of them are going to come with the new pulley and everything already installed, so you might want to take that 15mm bolt out, pull the new pulley off. That'll give you access to the new bolt here. It's going to make it a lot easier putting it in. There are grooves on the back side here which slot in to the mounting surface on the block. You have to have those slotted in properly so it holds tension. When you line it up into those grooves in the block, you're not going to be able to rotate the assembly. If you put it in and you're able to rotate it, you don't have it aligned properly with these prongs here that need to line up into the grooves. So definitely need to make sure you need to get that lined up properly. But take that pulley off. That'll give you access to get this bolt out all the way. Having it out all the way is going to definitely make it easier to line it up and get everything torqued down properly. Kind of show you how this slides in here. The pulley portion of it is going to go towards the rear of the vehicle, and you can see how you slide it in there and you can't really rotate it. If you happen to slide it in and you have rotation like that, it's in wrong. So you want it slid in the grooves like that. That way it's grabbing those prongs. So definitely make sure you got it lined up in the grooves like so. That way there's no rotation in it. Alright, got the bolt in there hand tight right now, and then you're just going to want to go ahead and tighten it up. You don't need to go crazy on it. No torque spec on this bolt, just get it nice and tight, and then we will put the pulley back on. Alright, that's all tightened up. You'll know it's in right if you're not making contact with the other belt or anything, so we got plenty of clearance there on everything. And so next is going to be putting the pulley back on. So use your 15mm, put the pulley back on, tighten it up, get it nice and tight, and then still make sure it spins freely. You don't want it to be on there super tight to where it's binding up, because then you're just going to cause problems with your belt and everything. Really hard to over tighten them because it starts relieving the tension on the pulley there, but it still spins nice and freely. That's all tightened up. That's all tightened up. Now we're pretty much ready to put the belt back on and turn the engine on and make sure everything's working right. If you were reusing the belt that you took off, I should have mentioned this before, but you definitely want to make sure that you note what direction it was spinning in. That way you put it in the same direction. You don't want to put it in the reverse way, because that can cause problems with additional wear and stuff on the belt. So make sure you put it on the same rotation that it was in. Getting the belt on is going to be just as easy as getting it off. Cradle it here, make sure it's set properly on the crank pulley, and then you can kind of work it around the tensioner and just kind of get it set so it's almost on. Relieve the tension on the tensioner and then just work it on, making sure it's fully seated on both pulleys. You don't want it hanging over the lip or anything, but it's fully seated there. You can see it's got good clearance on the tensioner there. At this point, with the new tensioner pulley back on and the belt back on, you're going to want to get in, fire up the engine, make sure you don't have any weird noises or belt rubbing or any issues with it. Make sure everything's spinning the way it should be, and then you can shut the engine down and come back out, and we will button everything back up. Well, as long as you don't have any weird noises or belt issues, you've successfully reinstalled your new tensioner. So with that being said, we're just going to reverse the process of putting the lower fender liner back in, reverse of what we did to take it off, and then we're going to put the wheel back on, get it on the ground, torque the wheel nuts, and everything will be good to go. With the vehicle back on the ground and your wheels all torqued to spec, you are ready to go take this thing for a drive. Thanks for watching. That was the install of the new tensioner for the air conditioning belt on a 2.5 liter Volkswagen engine. Should be pretty equivalent across the board for all the 2.5 liter engines. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave them down in the comments below. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and use the links down below to follow me on social media if you want to see what I'm up to behind the scenes. And as always, I will see you in the next one.